Hair's a little rough, whatever. Hey, what is going on, everybody? Boxing fans, I still, hold on, get still at the T-Mobile Arena here in Las Vegas. I'm gonna let some people come in first, and let me situate this correctly so we got a good view here. Hold on. I can't really. So yeah, it is your man Sean Zittel, still live from the T-Mobile Arena, and man, still thought we'd get right to it. Again, still at the T-Mobile. Thought this would be a good place to recap the fight, and just want to wait for a few people to get in. So we'll do that. Alan Fades, what's going on, brother? Bebop Jones, cheers to you as well, my friend. How's everybody doing tonight? Did everybody enjoy the fight? It's a good fight. Very good fight. We don't want to throw the word great loosely, but it was a very good fight. Very, very, very good fight. So I'm just waiting for more to get in. Alan Fade says, yes, sir, great fight. Would Morel knockdown make a difference if he didn't get a point deduction? No, it wouldn't have. He lost 10 out of 12 rounds on one card and 8 rounds on the other two. So, it was the end of the round anyway. It's not like something he could have really followed up that much. Benavidez responded with a really vicious combination after getting dropped. I do think that, Benavidez was buzzed definitely in the 4th round. The legs don't lie. He got hit with a good right hook, good counter shot. Morel didn't do enough of that tonight. He would, as the fight went on, he did too much your turn, my turn. And you're not going to beat Benavidez like that. You got to be able to punch with him, but that's not easy to do because Benavidez is very good in the exchanges. Elite fighters are great in the exchanges. They can counter punch. They can punch in between your shots. And Benavidez is very good at that. He's got big balls. He trusts himself in those exchanges. He took a lot of chances in this fight. We'll get to all of that in a minute. Sean looking good. Bivol versus Benavidez 2025. I love the sound of it. Although David, seems like he's kind of shutting down talks of traveling to Riyadh, which, a part of me really loved. Mostly I really love that because I live in the United States. I don't ever plan on going to Riyadh. I don't think I ever will to cover a fight for my own proud American hypocritical reasons. So, I love that Benavidez wants to be a star here in the United States, and rather than sell out and take the money from the Saudis, he wants to be profitable and big enough in the United States so that he can make big time money fighting here, not because a rich financier wants to overpay him. He wants to actually earn it, eat what he kills in the United States. And I definitely respect that. But, as someone who loves the sport and wants to see David Benavidez get a shot at fighting for the light heavyweight crown, the other part of me is like, hey, if it takes going to Riyadh season and fighting on a turkey card to fight for the light heavyweight championship, so be it. This is an opportunity you ultimately can't deny yourself. So yeah, what's up, Tay Jones? What's going on? I have conflicted feelings about it. For the most part, I'm with David. I love his ambition to be a big enough profitable star in America that he doesn't need to go to Riyadh season. But if that's what it takes ultimately to win the light heavyweight titles, then maybe that's what he'll have to do. So, but all right, let's get to the fight, man. We got about 80 people in here. That's called PBC contract and why you against the Saudis. Sports and politics don't mix. I hear what you're saying. I do. I don't expect everyone to grasp why I feel the way I feel about it, but we'll move on for now. So for the fight itself, really good fight. And I think Benavidez fought a great fight, a really good fight. Morel fought a good fight. That experience showed up in the second half once they got to deep waters. And it was a fight that even though Benavidez was in control of 3/4 of the time, a high percentage of the time, Morel was dangerous throughout and fought a good fight too. So I think I'm actually going to, I'm going to start with the nitpicks because I was talking real big about Benavidez. I said he'd win this fight by stoppage. It looked like he might have been able to do that at some point, but Morel, to his credit, man, he every time Benavidez was really starting to fight downhill, was starting to become an avalanche, Morel would respond with a combination. He would do something to let Benavidez know I'm still here. and I think he fought a good fight in that regard. Um, so before we get to the good, before we get to the incredible body shots and the uppercuts by David Benavidez, taking a great angle, shifting his weight, and throwing beautiful uppercuts and very accurate left hooks and right hands to the body. Let's start with things that Benavidez can still improve on. I felt like he was. I tweeted this. His hands on the inside. He showed those underrated reflexes that I've been talking about for a few years. He has underrated reflexes, not just fast hands, but he would he was dropping his hands while exchanging on the in close range around the 8th or 9th round. And even though he was in control of the fight and fighting downhill, I was watching and going, he's playing with fire, not bringing his hands back home on the inside. It makes sense to trust your reflexes at a certain distance, but in close, that could be dangerous no matter how good your reflexes are. And so Morel, in real time, it looked like Morel caught him with a right hand and dropped him. But then on the slow-mo, we saw it really was just a punch on the arm. But the rules go that you get hit by a punch, it can hit you anywhere, and you go down. It's a knockdown. But upon review, not a big-time knockdown or anything where Benavidez was hurt. He was a lot more hurt by that hook out in that 11th round. So, a little bit dicey on the inside down the stretch of the fight. He really trusted his reflexes in close range, and Morel was advantage of that in that knockdown moment. And then the other thing, Benavidez's conditioning was good, but if he was able to be as strong all 12 rounds, which is asking a lot of a fighter in a high-pitched battle like tonight, but if he would have been strong for all 12 rounds, he might have been able to stop Morel. Those are the main things. Sometimes he was trusting his reflexes a little bit too much on the inside, and then he did fade a little bit like he did in the Gvozdyk fight. And if David Benavidez can recapture his conditioning from the Ronald Gavil rematch, or even closer to the Caleb Plant fight, I think he'll be that much harder to beat. And last nitpick before we get to all the really good things David Benavidez did and moving forward is in the first round, he started with his jab. I think David Benavidez has an excellent jab, and it's an underutilized tool in his belt. He has an excellent jab. I still think against a front foot fighter like Canelo or Beterbiev, that jab will come to life. But all I kept thinking about is what Andre Ward talked about with him on the Art of Ward, which is you could be a really good fighter with this. You could be an all-time great with this, with the lead hand dictating. And he was landing his jab very effectively in round one, and then just kind of got away from it and controlled the fight despite that. Like it reminds me of Emmanuel Stewart nitpicking Oscar De La Hoya when he was dominating Ricardo Mayorga, and he was talking about Oscar's not using his jab enough, but he was dominating Mayorga anyways. But Emmanuel wouldn't move off that point. It could be even easier if he used the jab more. I just thought of Andre Ward, use that lead hand a lot more, and it'll set up all those beautiful combinations he throws. So now the good stuff. Like I said, man, Benavidez is one of the most potent offensive fighters in the game. He is becoming a master on the inside offensively. His punch selection, hand speed combinations, his accuracy to the body, and the uppercuts, superb. And his fighting spirit, superb. And then we found out tonight at 175 pounds, he has a chin because Morel can punch, man. And Benavidez still has power at 175, but Morel was the heavier puncher tonight. But Benavidez held up very well to his power. And, he showed he's a winner. Like he makes adjustments as the fight goes on. His punch selection is superb. He can throw any punch in the book. And he switched southpaw a couple of times so quickly in the middle of, just applying pressure. And he did some beautiful things in those southpaw sequences when he was southpaw for just a couple of minutes. So he fought a really good fight. As for, I said before this fight, if Benavidez gets past Morel, no one's going to stop him. Not Canelo, not Beterbiev, not Bivol. And while he was super impressive, to be fair to those fighters too, I didn't see a guy that for sure is going to beat those guys. I still think he can beat all those fighters, but I do think a couple of those adjustments I'm talking about, being tight defensively responsible on the inside for all 12 rounds, because he was very defensively good at times in this fight with his high guard and his quick twitches to catch punches, and not just shell up on the high guard, but alter it a little bit depending on where the shots are coming from. The upper body movement and the reflexes were on display. But against Beterbiev and Bivol and even Canelo, he'll have to tighten that up. The conditioning will have to be that much more consistent over 12 rounds, because as good as Morel was tonight, those guys are better. And so, yeah, that's what I think. Let me see. I got a super chat. Sean, thank you for your work. Good fight. If Morel had 4 more fights, he beat Benavidez. Well, he doesn't, and he lost tonight. So, Sean, I believe Canelo still beats Benavidez at 168. Well, he's not making 168 anymore, my man. My man, Edgar Cota, shout out. I'm late, but respect to you and your journalism. Appreciate that, brother. GDDD says Sean was right again. Well, not completely. I got the Figueroa fight wrong. And I told Stephen Fulton after the fight, he was walking by after he had won the fight, and I went, Steven. And I just went, and he appreciated that and said, I told you I was going to beat him. So shout out to Fulton, man. I thought Inoue may have damaged him permanently, psychologically, and maybe physically too. I thought Figueroa had the momentum coming into this fight. I thought 126 favored Figueroa, and I thought Figueroa was going to maul him, and Fulton over the course of 12 rounds was going to get worn down and broken down, not stopped, but maybe dropped by a body shot. And Figueroa was just flat tonight, man. I think Figueroa came out trying to be too cute in the first round or so. He had been priding himself on this camp on working on different things, on establishing his jab and his height more. And that wasn't the right approach from round one. Fulton walked him into right hands and outboxed him. And then once Figueroa cut that distance and made it the fight he wanted, he still couldn't get the better of it. Fulton was just beautiful on the inside, defensive, like I'm talking about with Benavidez, keeping it tight on the inside, and I get it. Part of why Benavidez didn't keep it so tight is when you drop the hands, it allows you to be more creative with the angles you're punching off of. It just allows you to be more creative, but that creativity, could come at a price. You don't got the gloves, you don't got your hands up, and Fulton did that very well on the inside, and Figueroa didn't look good, man. He had no snap on his punches. On the inside, on the outside, it was a terrible night for Figueroa, and a really good night for Stephen Fulton, who a lot of us, myself included, were kind of starting to count out. And sorry, I got this hair is not the best right now, but yeah, man. Bivol outboxes Benavidez. Well, I'm gonna stick to my guns that Benavidez can beat the winner of Bivol. He's got youth on his side, hand speed, and all kinds of things, but. Let's see. Edgar Cota said, thank you for the super chat, said, I still believe Canelo beats Benavidez at 168. Canelo would catch and shoot his ass up in the pocket. I can see why you think that. It was kind of like the perfect scenario for Benavidez. If you think about it like this, he won and proved he's a pay-per-view level fighter and put on such an exciting fight that people want to pay to see him again. But he showed just enough vulnerability to maybe make Beterbiev, Bivol, and Canelo want to jump at that fight. And I think he has enough. I still think he can. His talent hasn't been fully fulfilled. I still think just a few little slight things, the conditioning and little I think he could be that much tougher to beat and really become one of the best of the best. He said after the fight that he has himself a number 9 or 10 pound for pound. I agree with him. I think he's earned a spot at the bottom of that list right now. But a few things tighten up, he could be that much better and really beat all these guys I've been talking about. But yeah, Eddie Reynoso was there. I'm a little tired, so you guys got to forgive me. Yeah. So let's see here. Do you think Canelo beats Morel at 168? I don't think Canelo would ever fight Morel. It's just too dangerous. He's big and athletic. And, Canelo is so much better than when he fought Lara. But this was David Benavidez' Arislandi Lara fight, if you think about it. This was the fight. Like, Canelo didn't have to fight Lara, but it was about being a champion. And if you're really who you say you are, you'll fight this slick Cuban southpaw that could definitely beat you and is going to at least give you a handful of problems. And Canelo got past it. And, you know, Morel is much bigger than Erislandy Lara, more of a puncher, not the back foot artist that Erislandy Lara is at back in those days at 54, but he passed his test even better against his Cuban dangerous southpaw, high risk, low reward fight than Canelo did against Erislandy Lara back in 2014. So that's a good thing. That's good shit from David Benavidez. Let's see. Let me see. Morel is not a threat to Canelo, bro. Come on. He is, man. Canelo's 5'8" and 35 years old. He's one of the great fighters in the history of the sport. But Morel would be a difficult fight for Canelo. I have no doubt about that. I think Morel, you know, if he just keeps his mind in the right place and hits the gym hard, back with Ronnie Shields, goes back to the drawing board, navigates this losers bracket after losing to Benavidez, I still think he could be a problem for anybody at 175. Not right now. This is a go back to the drawing board moment and kind of rebuild. But I still think over the long haul in the next couple years, Morel could be very dangerous for Benavidez in a rematch. Bivol, because Beterbiev will be retired by the time, you know, Morel works his way through the process of coming back from this loss. But yeah, the boxing era said, watch this on TV. I didn't see the flaws you're saying. Yeah, I have a feeling that might be the case. I was, you know, in the audience and yeah, I am planning on watching it again when I get home. I'll be on the Porter Way tomorrow, so I'll make sure to review the tape before I go on Sean's show. And I got a feeling I'm going to love that much more what I saw from Benavidez when I get home and watch it on tape. Sean, what's the best fight of 2025 now? Ooh, you mean like one that could potentially happen? I don't think Beterbiev's going to get past Bivol in the rematch, but if he could, him and Benavidez stylistically is amazing. That'd be an amazing fight. I think if Keyshawn looks spectacular against Baranchyk, which he may not, he may have to just settle for winning. There's no way I see him losing to Denis Baranchyk. But if Keyshawn looks spectacular, I think Davis versus Davis, Tank versus Keyshawn is bigger and better than Tank versus Shakur. So, you know, Davis versus Davis, Benavidez, Beterbiev, Benavidez, Bivol. Yeah, those are probably the two fights I'd want to see the most. Gervonta in with Keyshawn, and if Keyshawn can deliver. But, I mean, even if Keyshawn wins a belt, like, you know, it's his first title fight. So might be going a little bit too far there, expecting a fight with Gervonta Davis to happen. But I love that fight. Let's see. Vasil Lomachenko said, Sean, go home. I will be soon. I'm going to pick up some food and go home. But I wanted to talk with the people before I get out of here. Mexican Takeover said, nah, let Keyshawn do his own path. I feel like that's what all fighters are saying these days. I'm gonna do my own path. Well, you just can't all do your own path. These paths have to intersect at some point. But I hear you. So Peel Out says, man, I really thought Morel would pull it out, man. I have to eat crow. Yeah, you're good, man. You pick someone to win and they lost. Doesn't really matter. Let me see. Edgar Cota said, my apologies, Sean. I'm a bit tipsy. No, you're good, brother. I don't mind. I appreciate the super chat and all that, bro. I just appreciate you being here. Oh, Edgar Cota with this super chat. 1 through 5, rate Benavidez' performance. Let me go 1 through 10. I'm gonna say 8.5 is the number that feels the strongest. And I only say that because I believe in Benavidez' talent a lot and all his skill set that I think people are waking up to tonight after they saw, like, the dude has really good skills, particularly on offense, underrated defense. I think like he trusts his chin so much and he's so fearless that, you know, maybe he takes a couple shots he really doesn't need to take given his skill set and his reflexes and his jab and the underutilized jab. Jeez, I sound like I'm going so hard on him when he fought an awesome fight, and it was an awesome fight that he won. I think it's just that, like, I believe that he can really be a dominant light heavyweight and take over the division. And so I'm paying more attention to what needs to be shored up to be that guy, as opposed to highlighting all the other good stuff. But let's see. Do I think Morel won any rounds? Yeah. I thought the first 3 rounds was close. I thought they were a couple of those rounds. I gave Benavidez the first, and then 2 and 3 were close. If you scored them from Morel, that's not a problem. The 4th round, Benavidez won, but he did get hurt by that counter right hook. And then really 5 through 10, Benavidez took over the fight and won just about every round. Morel won the 11th with the knockdown despite the point deduction. And then the 12th round, I thought Benavidez won. So I thought Morel won as much as 3 rounds, maybe four, and as little as 2. And so basically that's what the judges had it. One judge had him winning 2 rounds. The other 2 had him winning 4 rounds. And I think those were good scorecards tonight. But sometimes the scorecards don't tell the whole story. Morel was kind of competitive and dangerous throughout, even though there was a number of rounds in the middle of the fight where Benavidez controlled him for 2/3 of the round, backed him up for much of the round, punished him to the body. And Morel surprised me a little bit with his durability and his dog, because not to generalize, but Cuban fighters are known for their exquisite skill and not always necessarily their exquisite will. Historically, Lara coughed up the Canelo fight. Canelo came on strong to take that from him after he got off to a good start. We saw Robeisy Ramirez have to succumb to injuries and surrender to Rafael Espinoza. And Morel, he held up to that Mexican pressure and tried to always respond. Not enough to win rounds, not close enough to win the fight, really. But I think he showed some good durability. Sean Porter had it 5-3. Morel, cook him tomorrow. Thank you for the super chat. This boxing area. Yeah, I can't. I love Sean, but I can't co-sign him on that. Gallo Boxing said, "Say my name." Gallo Boxing. Gallo Boxing said, "Bro, Benavidez don't like you, and after this, you done." Well, I don't know. I don't think so. I think I don't think so. But so. I don't believe that to be the case. I think I'll continue to interview him and do good stuff. But that's your opinion. Thoughts on Jose Benavidez fight and how Team Benavidez 4 wins in one night. Also, Sean Devin can't wait for tomorrow. The fight with Clarissa. With Clarissa Shields fighting for the undisputed heavyweight title. Let's see. And by the way, I forget it. Let's see. Tank will duck and retire. I don't know about all that. I think it could just be talk. I don't think he's retiring. David or Arthur? You can go David. I think Benavidez beats him. Gallo Boxing says, "Bro, I saw what he told you." Well, you got to understand, that is the dynamic sometimes between the athlete, the talent, the fighter, and the reporter. Is sometimes those 2 paths are going to clash. And like I was talking with Jim Lampley over the weekend, guy I admire and look up to. Larry Merchant, same stuff. Sometimes the fighters would hate them. Same thing with Max Kellerman. There's times they just didn't agree with their assessment. They thought they had it out for him. But in the long run, when you prove yourself that you're just trying to be a professional and basically keep it real and just be honest, over the long run, the fighters learn to just they respect that, and they understand that they're being honest and that there's no vendetta or agenda there. It's just someone trying to do their job with integrity. So, I think we're good. But anyway, let's see. Sean, any idea on who Tank is going to call out after Roach? No. Actually, I heard it was supposed to be. I heard from a birdie that it was supposed to be the Ryan Garcia Devin Haney rematch winner. Originally, that was supposed to be the plan, but I don't know about now. They said it's Shakur. I don't know. Junior Faria said, "If you're doing your job as a reporter, you're going to clash with a fighter." Yep. You look like Sid from Ice Age. Okay. Great card tonight. Let me see. Why are you there this late, Sean? Just curious. I don't know. I wanted to try something new. I wanted to try to go live, like at the T-Mobile after the post fight. But now I'm realizing it may not have been a very good idea because I'm super tired, and maybe I should just go home. So, did Canelo watch the fight? Of course he did. Of course he did. And he's still assessing whether he's going to take it at some point. Sean, where does American boxing go from here? I think tonight was a good blueprint. You have to have very talented, exciting fighters willing to risk their records against other very dangerous fighters. You got to put on good fights. And Riyadh's, maybe if Riyadh's season wasn't competing with PBC right now, PBC would have just been content to put Benavidez. I mean, that was originally the plan, right? Like they were going to put Benavidez as a co-main event to Tank fighting Jesse Hart. And Benavidez stepped up to the plate and took on the real challenge in David Morel and showed he really is that guy and backed up everything he said he'd do. So that's what has to happen is guys like Benavidez, they have to be like Benavidez. They have to be willing to take some of these risky fights and build it, and they will come. Take a legitimate, interesting, dangerous fight, and you'll be at the T-Mobile and have a pretty good crowd. And I expect this fight to perform better than expectations on pay-per-view. So, F. Grant said, low-key, Benavidez put on a blocking masterclass. He got hit, but he blocked a lot of Morel's shots. What do you think? No, I agree. I don't think he got hit clean that much in this fight. I think, again, he didn't just rely on a high guard. The reflexes, upper body movement, and then he caught a lot. He parried a lot. Wherever the shots were coming from, he adjusted the high guard to catch them, and he showed he's an underrated defensive fighter. I said yesterday, people try to play David Benavidez like he's Jaime Munguia, like he has no defense, and he has a very good defense, like you saw tonight. It's just that he trusts his chin, and he trusts himself in the exchanges that he's going to find the mark in the exchanges. He's going to sharpshoot you. He's going to punch in between your shots better than you can sharpshoot in between his shots. And, kind of like Pacquiao back in the day, it leaves him sometimes in dangerous positions, but it's extremely exciting. And more times than not, he is correct in his assessment. He's the more dynamic, creative, offensive fighter with the vision and the timing and the speed to find the mark with more versatility to his punch selection than you can. And that's what he did to David Morrell tonight. He's just been excellent on the inside, Benavidez. I think he could be even better on the outside with the jab, more like Ward was talking about. But whatever, he got the job done in very good fashion. You have the insight. Is Canelo versus Bud in September next? I heard talks on that have cooled off when it felt like everyone in the press was feeling like, okay, it's almost a done deal. Canelo's going to fight somebody, maybe William Skull, maybe whatever, in May, and then we're going to get to the Crawford fight in September. I've heard those talks have cooled off a little bit, but in my opinion, money talks, bullshit walks. If Turkey will write a blank check, Canelo will cash that in at some point. But let's just say I heard maybe something big for Canelo in May. Very big, really big, but not Benavidez and not Crawford, but still very, very big. And, I'll let you guys deduce maybe from there. L-Dub Boxing was good, Bug. Good to see you, brother. L-Dub Boxing is funny. Morel didn't use his reach, and I don't know why. Well, Benavidez took it away from him. Morel likes to fight downhill. He said it in the lead up to the fight. I like to put on the pressure. He likes to put on the pressure. And David didn't let him fight downhill. He didn't let him get full extension on his punches because he was on his ass most of the fight. And he dictated the range of the fight, which was mid to close distance. And Morel, adjusted to that well, but, he wasn't able to get full extension on a lot of his power shots. And Benavidez just did a beautiful job shifting his weight on the inside, sometimes turning southpaw to perfectly target that body. And that more than anything else won him this fight was how good he is at going to the body in mid to close range. So, what's up, Sammy? Got my wife in the chat. Love you, babe. Um, so thank you for the super chat from Kingdom John Doe. Said, what do you think about the headbutts from Morel? I didn't think anything was too intentional. I know they had a head clash towards the end of the fight, but I didn't see anything dirty from either guy. It's a pretty clean fight. A couple of borderline punches by Benavidez, but borderline, not really low. I didn't think fouls affected anything. And I didn't think Morel was malicious in his right hook after the bell. I think it was like Holyfield Bow. Like Benavidez just throwing all these combinations, and it's a bang, bang play. Like, Morel's trying to catch, and he just comes back with something. I don't think he knowingly meant to hit him after the bell. It was bang, bang in real time, and, it happened. Again, Dr. Death with the super chat says, Brandon Figueroa thoughts. I thought Figueroa was just really flat tonight, man, and he had no steam on his punches on the inside. And I thought he talked to us in the lead up to the fight about working on his skills on the outside, and I thought he was too cute for his own good to start that fight. And then by the time he got inside where he wanted to, Fulton was so much tighter defensively, sharper with the steam on his punches, and so much more accurate and shorter and more compact and sharp than Figueroa was on the inside, who had nothing on his punches. It was a pretty bad night for Brandon Figueroa. But all right, chat. I think I'm a bounce, man. Let me get home. Bad plan for Morel. He needed to go to his root, Cuban style. That's not who he is. Morel's the guy who believes in his power. He's, he has a little bit more of a mentality of a puncher than he does a Casamayor or a Rigondeaux. And he was never going to beat Benavidez going downhill versus downhill. He just wasn't. He doesn't have Benavidez's skill in the inside, the compactness and the creativity to his punches, the ability to take an angle. Actually, Morel coming into this fight showed a really good ability to get to the weak side angle with his southpaw lead foot against the orthodox lead foot, get his chin off the line, and then throw a right hook to the body, come up with a straight left hand up top. But Benavidez's defense was sharp against that, and catch and shoot game was sharp. There was a number of times he took advantage of Morel dropping that lead hand and checked him with a left hook on the inside. So really good shit. Shushu versus Fulton. I mean, I'd favor Shushu. I'd favor Shushu. He's younger. He's a little bit bigger. He punches a little harder. He isn't anywhere close yet, obviously, to what Fulton has accomplished in his career. Three-time champion in 2 divisions, Fulton now. Unified at 22, WBC champ at featherweight. Hats off to Stephen Fulton. But I would favor Shushu. I'd favor the younger guy, the bigger guy, better puncher, who also has very good hand speed and length himself. So, let's see. In your page, let me see. Gaio boxing, something about in your page. Let me see. GDDD said Canelo is fighting on PBC in May, apparently. Do you think he'll be fighting Plant again, Jamal, or Andrade? I don't think any of those three names. Edgar Cota, thank you for the super chat. Said, we need more lives from you, bro. Have a good night. You have a good night too, Edgar. Thank you, man. Thanks for staying up and with us, Sean. I am a huge fan. Oh, thank you, Mithander. Appreciate that. I'm trying to see what Gaio Boxing. I give in to trolls too much, but I can't help it. Trying to see what Gaio Boxing is trolling me about now. No. Like Broner say, you cook. Benavidez don't like you. Why are you so obsessed with whether he likes me or not? Like, what the fuck? Like, why do you care? Anyway, you know what? I picked the fight correctly tonight. So, do you know what you can do, Gaio Boxing? You can know your role and shut your mouth. How about that? Go ahead. Say it with me, chat. Know your role and shut your mouth. So, anyway. Tiafimo versus Garcia. I don't know. Garcia right now. I don't know. So. Let's see. Let's see. No, not Ward. No, not Andre Ward. For Canelo in May. Nope. Hitchens versus Tio. I want to give the edge to Tio because he's an overall more talented fighter than Richardson Hitchens, who is a really good, long, fast, sharp boxer. But Tio has reflexes and the power that Hitchens doesn't have. But if Tio is struggling so much with the style of a good back foot boxer like Sandor Martin or Jermaine Ortiz, I think Richardson Hitchens better than both of those guys. So logic actually tells you Hitchens is the favorite to win that fight. But part of me would like to think Tio can shore up all those deficiencies he's had against that style because he's in his 20s and he could learn from it and makes the adjustments to get the most out of his talent to beat a less talented fighter in Hitchens. But if he doesn't make any adjustments or improvements, he is with Reynoso now. So if Reynoso gets him to cut the distance more responsibly without his lead hand so low, and get, like Canelo keeps the hands up while maintaining that flexibility Tio has, then maybe Tio can get Hitchens. But if he doesn't make any adjustments or improvements with Reynoso, it might just be an awful style for him again. So okay, Guyo boxing. Will you go to New York City for the turkey card? Yeah, I want to. It's in America, so I do want to go to that one. Does your opinion change on Benavidez versus Canelo after that fight, or much of the same? Well, much of the same. I think because that happened at 168. Like I think at 175, I think I think Benavidez wins. I think he's got the youth and everything, but there's holes that I'm sure Canelo saw tonight that he thinks he can exploit. But I feel like Benavidez will find another gear for Canelo. I feel like that'll bring the best out of him. I feel like you'll see him in better condition than he was tonight. And I also feel like against Beterbiev and Canelo, guys who are going to try to stalk Benavidez, I feel like he makes more use, doesn't want to get countered over the top of it. So he does other creative things to close the distance and then work his body shots and work his uppercuts. I think against someone trying to close the gap against him, that jab would come alive, especially against a shorter guy like Canelo. So I understand why Canelo, or people who like Canelo, or just not people who think Canelo would win that fight, they see the openings on Benavidez and they think he'd win the fight. I understand that. But in my opinion, both guys at their peak, Canelo bringing the best he still got at 35, and Benavidez bringing the best he would have at 28, 29. I think Benavidez would win that fight. Size, youth, work rate, and he showed he has got a chin too. So Canelo would try to hurt him to the body. Be a great fight. It'd be a great fight. What do you know? Canelo versus Benavidez would be a great fight. Sign me up. But I don't know if we get it. I'm more concerned right now for Benavidez fighting the light heavyweight champion. The winner of Beterbiev Bivol. I think he beats those guys. He proves without a shadow of a doubt he's a great fighter. And then at that moment, he's on eye level with Canelo. And maybe Canelo, who's trying to spread the last of what's left in his tank over a couple of years in easier fights than Benavidez, maybe if Benavidez achieves that greatness on his own by becoming light heavyweight champion, Canelo's willing to let it all hang out one last time in a big challenge and fight Benavidez. I would hope so. Isaac Cruz, next move. I think Isaac Cruz has actually found his sweet spot. Like I think Isaac Cruz is a pay-per-view fighter, but not necessarily a pay-per-view headliner. Like I think this role for him is perfect. Like he keeps the crowd hot for the pay-per-view, and I would love to just see him fight in good competitive fights on pay-per-view undercards. Like I just think he's such a perfect either co-main event or third fight out to keep things hot. But I don't know. Pitbull's a world-class fighter. He's one-dimensional. Actually, Angel Fierro hurt him more than anybody else I've ever seen him hurt tonight. But he's a world-class fighter, and I think he just fills this role so well as a pay-per-view fighter, but not as the headliner on pay-per-view. So, because his fights are pay-per-view worthy, and he is a world-class fighter. I mean, he won a title at 140. But yeah, that's just what I think. But Agyal said, Said, the more I watch Benavidez, the more I'm impressed. He's going up against these more slick boxers. He does a great job at controlling and adapting in the fight, especially in the mid rounds. Yeah, underrated IQ, underrated skill set, and I think he proved that tonight. Ryo versus Russell. Thank you for the super chat, Edgar Cota. What's your prediction? I'll go with that's actually a tough fight to pick because Russell, I think, has a physical strength advantage over Ryo. Not necessarily the harder puncher, but Russell is very good on the inside. I know Puello, being taller than him, surprised him on the inside in that fight. But Russell's very good on the inside. If he can cut the distance against Ryo, that it's cliche, but it comes down to who can implement their game plan. If Ryo can turn Russell and keep the fight in the center of the ring, he has enough power to keep Russell honest and maybe even hurt him if Russell gets too aggressive and too impatient trying to cut the distance. But if Russell can get on the inside, he's going to get the better of Ryo. It's actually a hell of a fight, Off top, I'll favor Ryo Valenzuela. He boxed extremely well when he won that title against Cruz in August. So I'll favor Ryo, but it wouldn't surprise me at all if Antoine beats him. And I might even change my pick before we. But you know what, guys? I'm tired. I'm going to get out. I'll catch you guys tomorrow on the Porterway podcast. Thank you guys for checking in. It was a hell of a fight, hell of a performance by Benavidez, and a good performance by Morel, too. Peace out. Hey, Shaggy. Hey, how are you as well? Peace.